Welcome back to Rocky Watches Movies. Today we're diving into the musical, action-packed world of the Blues Brothers, a film that has become a true cult classic. Released in 1980, the Blues Brothers combined comedy, music, and some of the most ambitious car chases ever filmed. But behind the laughs and destruction is a treasure trove of fascinating trivia and behind-the-scenes secrets that even the die-hard fans might not know. So get ready as we put on our sunglasses, hop in the Bluesmobile, and uncover 20 things you never knew about the Blues Brothers. Dan Aykroyd's first attempt at writing a screenplay was anything but standard. Aykroyd turned in a staggering 324-page draft for the Blues Brothers. To put that into perspective, most screenplays are around 110 pages, with each page roughly equating to 1 minute of screen time. Aykroyd, who had never written a film script before, took a wildly different approach. He didn't even format it like a normal screenplay and included extensive backstories for each character, including the origin of the Bluesmobile and Jake and Elwood's childhood in the orphanage. Needless to say, the studio was taken aback by the hefty draft, calling it the phone book. It fell to director John Landis to turn Aykroyd's sprawling script into something filmable, and he managed to condense it into a more reasonable length within just 3 weeks. When it came time to film the unforgettable mall car chase scene, the filmmakers didn't just build a set to destroy, they used a real shopping mall. The Dixie Square Mall in Harvey, Illinois, had recently been abandoned due to crime and gang activity, making it the perfect location for the filmmakers to wreak havoc. The production team filled the mall with real merchandise from stores, with the promise that any undamaged goods would be returned. The parking lot was also filled with brand new cars to make it appear like a functioning mall. After the Blues Brothers crew finished, the mall was left in shambles and was never renovated, standing abandoned until it was finally demolished in 2012. The car stunts in the Blues Brothers are legendary, and to pull them off, the production used 13 different versions of the Bluesmobile, each one modified for different types of stunts. All the car chases were filmed with real stunt drivers, 40 of them flown in each weekend just for the film. In total, the filmmakers bought 60 old police cars for the modest price of $400 each. One particularly spectacular stunt involved flipping a car by having it hit a specially dug ditch, while another driver launched off a 150-foot-long ramp. The filmmakers even got special permission from the city to drive at speeds of over 100 miles per hour through downtown Chicago. Despite the scale and danger of these stunts, there were surprisingly few injuries, with only a few minor incidents reported. One of the film's stunt drivers was Ethan Wayne, son of the legendary John Wayne. Ethan had started acting in 1970 but also worked as a stuntman, stepping in to handle some of the wild driving scenes for the Blues Brothers. The Blues Brothers held the world record for the most cars destroyed in a film for 2 years, with a total of 103 vehicles smashed during production. This record was beaten in 1982 by The Junkman, which destroyed 150 cars and even a plane. Even though John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd both found fame on Saturday Night Live, Belushi was considered the bigger star at the time. Belushi had exploded into movie stardom with Animal House, while Aykroyd's film career was just taking off. This disparity was reflected in their paychecks. Aykroyd earned $250,000 for the film, while Belushi made double that at $500,000. If you're enjoying the video, a subscribe to the channel would be as thrilling as a high-speed car chase. Most of the Blues Brothers was shot in and around Chicago, a city that wasn't exactly a hotspot for film production at the time. In fact, the city was so thrilled to have a major Hollywood production that it created a film office specifically for the movie. The production pumped an estimated $12 million into the local economy. However, the chaotic car chases and stunts throughout the city led to some real-life confusion. Chicago residents were frequently startled by the sight of police cars careening through the streets, with some even calling the newspapers to report what they believed were actual accidents and high-speed pursuits. When it came to casting musical icons for the film, Universal Studios originally wanted to feature more contemporary artists, including the band Rolls-Royce, known for their hits like Car Wash. However, Dan Aykroyd and the team fought hard to include soul legends like Aretha Franklin, who performed Think in one of the movie's most famous musical numbers. The film played a significant role in reviving Franklin's career, which had been in a slump at the time. Universal even launched a PR campaign to get her nominated for an Academy Award for her performance. Even though Aretha Franklin is one of the greatest singers of all time, she and the other singers struggled when it came to lip-syncing their performances in the film. Like many professional singers, Franklin was used to live performances and found it difficult to match her lips to the pre-recorded track. John Landis had to get creative, so live vocals were blended with pre-recorded tracks. The musicians in the Blues Brothers weren't just actors playing a part, they were the real deal. The band featured legendary musicians such as guitarist Steve Cropper and saxophonist Blue Lou Marini, who had played with some of the greatest soul and R&B artists of the time. The only member of the original Saturday Night Live band missing from the movie was Paul Schaefer, who was unable to participate due to a scheduling conflict. John Belushi was beloved in Chicago, and he had a habit of wandering off set and being warmly embraced by locals. There's a story that Dan Aykroyd recounted about Belushi disappearing during a break in filming. He wandered into a random neighborhood, knocked on someone's door, was invited in, and proceeded to eat their food and fall asleep on their couch. Aykroyd, who eventually found him, joked that Belushi was America's guest. He could go anywhere and be welcomed with open arms. Just before filming the film's big musical finale, John Belushi injured himself in an unexpected way by playing on a child's skateboard. The injury required an urgent visit to the top orthopedist in town over the Thanksgiving holiday weekend to ensure that Belushi could still perform the required dance moves and cartwheels for the finale. John Belushi's struggles with drug addiction were no secret, and sadly he passed away in 1982 from a lethal combination of heroin and cocaine. Belushi's meteoric rise to fame after Animal House intensified his drug use, and it became a major issue during the production of The Blues Brothers. The film often fell behind schedule because Belushi would disappear from the set or fail to show up altogether. Dan Aykroyd later revealed that part of the movie's budget was allocated specifically for cocaine to keep the night shoots going. John Landis recalled an incident where he flushed Belushi's cocaine down the toilet, leading to an angry confrontation. Fortunately, they patched things up quickly, but it highlighted the challenges they faced working with Belushi during this period. Dan Aykroyd and Carrie Fisher's relationship blossomed while working on the film, and Aykroyd's marriage proposal came in an unexpected and life-saving moment. Fisher, who played the vengeful ex-fiancée of Jake Blues, was choking on a Brussels sprout during lunch. Aykroyd immediately performed the Heimlich maneuver, saving her life. Afterward, he asked her to marry him. Fisher later joked in an interview that she thought marrying him might be a good idea in case it ever happened again. The wedding unfortunately never happened. Carrie Fisher isn't the only Star Wars connection. Frank Oz, who famously voiced Yoda in The Empire Strikes Back, appears in the film as the corrections officer returning Jake's belongings at the beginning of the movie. When The Blues Brothers was released in 1980, The Empire Strikes Back was still dominating the box office, leaving the film to settle for second place. While The Blues Brothers is hailed as a classic today, it didn't receive universal praise when it was first released. Some critics were not impressed by the film's over-the-top antics. Newsweek called it desperately unfunny, while the LA Times dubbed it a $30 million wreck. Fortunately, the film's wild style and musical charm won over audiences, and its reputation has only grown since then. While The Blues Brothers was popular worldwide, it developed a particularly strong following in Australia. In Melbourne, the Valhalla Cinema became famous for hosting midnight screenings of the movie every Friday night. Fans would dress up in costumes, and actors would reenact scenes live as the movie played, while audiences sang along with the musical numbers. The lively musical number with Ray Charles performing Shake a Tail Feather wasn't rehearsed with professional dancers. Instead, John Landis filled the scene with everyday people who were pulled off the streets of Chicago, creating an authentic sense of joy and community. The film's stars, John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, weren't particularly skilled dancers, so the amateur energy surrounding them added to the scene's charm. Cab Calloway's performance of Minnie the Moocher in The Blues Brothers is one of the movie's most iconic musical moments, but it almost didn't happen the way we see it. Calloway originally wanted to perform a disco version of the song, which he had recently recorded. Director John Landis insisted on the traditional jazz version, though Calloway was reportedly unhappy about it at the time. In the end, the classic version of Minnie the Moocher won out, preserving the film's nostalgic celebration of classic music. The film faced discrimination when it was first released. Some movie theatres refused to show the film, believing it to be a black movie, because of its focus on blues music and its prominent black cast. In an interview, John Landis recounted a conversation with Ted Mann of Mann Theatres, who refused to book the film in any of his cinemas except for one in Compton. When Landis pressed him about why the film wasn't being shown in more affluent areas like Westwood, Mann bluntly replied, "Because I don't want any blacks in Westwood." Despite these setbacks, The Blues Brothers went on to become a massive success and is cherished by fans of all backgrounds today. And there you have it, folks. You now know a little bit more about the Blues Brothers. If you enjoyed the video, which I presume you did as you got this far, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos coming to Rocky Watches Movies. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.